Marc Raeff was a specialist in Russian history who taught at Columbia University in New York, 1961–88. He held the Bakhmeteff Chair in Russian Studies. Harvard historian Richard Pipes says, he was very much interested in the Western aspect of Russian culture. He was a pillar of Russian historical studies in this country. Career. He was born in Moscow July 28, 1923, the only child of Isaac and Victoria Raeff, who were Jewish. His father was an engineer, and his mother was a biochemist. The government sent them to Berlin to oversee quality control on machinery destined for Russia. They refused to return to Moscow in 1927. In 1933 they moved to Paris. They moved to the U.S. in 1941. He attended schools in German, French and English, but his native tongue was Russian. He wrote in English, French, German, and Russian, and also read Italian and Polish. Raeff served in the U.S. Army in the war as an interpreter. He attended Harvard, working with Professor Michael Karpovich, who's trained numerous scholars. He received his Ph.D. in 1950. He taught at Clark University from 1949 until 1961, when he moved to Columbia. He married Lillian Gottsman in 1951. They had 2 daughters. His research focused on the Russian Empire, with an emphasis on the Russian intelligentsia at home and in diaspora. Schafter argues that he always stressed the complexity and dynamism of the social and political arrangements that defined Imperial Russia. Quote, he directed numerous Ph.D. dissertations. His teaching and writing was free of ideological overtones of the sort encouraged by the Cold War. He was awarded a Guggenheim Fellowship in 1957. Bibliography. Siberia and the Reforms of 1822. Origins of the Russian Intelligentsia. Michael Speransky, Statesman of Imperial Russia, 1772–1839. Origins of the Russian Intelligentsia, the 18th Century Nobility. Imperial Russia, 1682–1825. The Coming of Age of Modern Russia. Comprendre l'ancien régime russe. État et société en Russie impériale. Translated as Understanding Imperial Russia. State and Society in the Old Regime. The well-ordered police state. Social and institutional change through law in the Germanies and Russia, 1600–1800. Russia abroad. A Cultural History of the Russian Emigration, 1919–1939. Political Ideas and Institutions in Imperial Russia. His essays, with bibliography of his work. Politique et culture en Russie, 18E-20E Sickles. The Russian Empire, the Romanovs and the Books. A bibliography of Raeff's works through 1987 is in Ezra Mendelssohn and Marshall Schatz, eds. Imperial Russia, 1700–1917. State, Society, Opposition. Essays in honor of Marc Raeff. Malloy, Molly ed. Marc Raeff, A Bibliography, Critica, Explorations in Russian and Amp, Eurasian History 12 No. 1 pp 141–159.